This month we have Neptune, ruler of the spiritual realm, Saturn, ruler of karmic lessons, Mercury, ruler of the mental realm, and Chiron, ruler of old soul wounds, all turning to retrograde motion. And we have Uranus, the Great Awakener, moving into Gemini for the next 7 years. All of this, an empowered moment and more in my new intuitive energy forecast for the month of July 2025. Stay tuned. This is Colleen, Lemma, starseed astrologer and spiritual messenger, here with your monthly intuitive energy forecast for July. So for this month, we're going to be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha for the main message for everyone. Your special message card, depending on your stone of choice, is going to be coming from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. Before we get into looking at those stones of choice or talking about the energies of July, let's go ahead and close our eyes and do an empowered moment. So as you're closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and as you exhale, just letting go of all that your body, mind, and soul no longer needs. Relaxing your body, clearing your mind of all thoughts, just being in the present moment, the here and now. Visualizing roots growing out of the soles of your feet and going down deep into Earth Mother Gaia, anchoring you to her heart chakra, where she provides her nurturing elixir of healing light. And imagine that your energies are also moving up into the highest spiritual realms. It can be from your crown chakra and third eye, or you can imagine that you're raising your arms and hands to the sky. And your energies are connecting with and through your higher soul self into the highest realms of universe, great spirit, all that is. And now you're anchored and balanced as above and so below. Shift your focus now to internal healing, evolution, growth, higher wisdom and understanding. This month of July is going to be providing some deeper insights, especially for those who look for them. So focusing deep within your heart chakra, connecting with your authentic truth. Imagine as you take your next deep breath that you're moving inward into the silence and the peace and serenity of your inner mind and body and energy field. And it is here that in the silence you can seek the answers that you're looking for. It is here within your heart that you can listen to your intuition. And with that intention, take a deep breath, breathing the essence of that into every cell of your body. And as you exhale, and in your own time, when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and return to this time and place and space. So let's go ahead and take a look at our stones of choice for that special message card a little bit later. So the first stone of choice is rubellite. So rubellite, this is a stone of emotional healing. It's also a stone of courage and confidence, vitality, and passion. And it also helps to promote creativity. Okay, let's look at the second stone of choice. The second stone of choice is called Septarian. And Septarian is grounding and nurturing. It's a great stone for communication and self-expression. And it helps to align the lower chakras, or the root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras. Root is about our sense of security and stability. Sacral is our creative self-expression. And solar plexus is your personal power. And then the third stone of choice, this one is called Amazonite. And Amazonite is great for emotional balance, helping to release negative emotions, inner peace, speaking one's truth, and protection. So again, taking a look at your stones of choice, we've got the rubellite, we've got the Septarian, and then we've got the Amazonite. So let's put those stones aside here for now. And let's talk about the energy of July. So we're going to look at this first from a numerological perspective. And July is the 7th month of the year, always the 7th month of the year. But to get the numerology vibration, we have to add it to the universal year number for 2025. So if you add 2025 together, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, we're going to get that 9 universal year energy. We've been in a 9 universal year now for half the year. And the 9 is the last of the single digit numbers. And so we're talking about the end of a cycle in a nutshell. We're talking about healing. We're talking about humanitarianism. We're talking about creativity and artistic and unconditional love energies. So I think the biggest thing is that we're in this, again, closing out of a cycle for 2025. We're here to release and let go, whether it's on a material, physical level, or an emotional body or mental body level, or even spiritual body in regards to past karma. Now, when we add that universal 9 energy to July, which is, again, the 7th month, we get the number 16. And normally, we're always going to reduce a double digit or a triple digit in numerology down to a single digit by adding those 2 digits together. But in the case of certain numbers, like master numbers and karmic numbers, we want to look at that first. So yes, 16 is one of the 4 karmic numbers in numerology. And from a numerological standpoint, the karmic number 16 is about big changes, big powerful changes, usually external changes. And I say usually because sometimes there can be some big or internal changes as well. But normally we think of number 13 as inner transformation. We think of the number 16, the karmic 16, as external transformation. But I'm going to kind of bring back around the fact that we're in a 9 universal year. So because the 9 does not deal with as much the physical material realm. It doesn't mean that things aren't happening and cycles aren't closing out on the material or physical plane, because they definitely are. But the number 9 deals more with the spiritual realms. And because of that, I'm going to say that this karmic number 16 energy for July is about internal as well as external changes, almost equally, I feel. Now, if we reduce that down to a single digit, the 1 plus the 6, it's a 7 vibration. And the 7 is a number of wisdom and inner guidance and self-reflection and silence, even meditation. It's about going deep down within ourselves to understand at a deeper level what's going on within our psyche, what's going on within our life based on what's going on within our psyche. So it reminds me of, it almost reminds me a little bit of Virgo and Scorpio combined, if you know anything about astrology. Those signs, Scorpio about transformation and Virgo about this wisdom and coming up with solutions and whatnot. Scorpio, again, going back to Scorpio, death and rebirth. I feel like the number 7 kind of combines a lot of that energy, but it's it's not as external, the number 7. It's definitely more internal. It deals with the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body, not so much the physical body. So I feel like, again, that karmic number 16, that 7 reduced energy digit, I feel like is going to be asking us to, again, find our own answers, to listen to our intuition, to go within and have this kind of higher spiritual awareness of why this happened, or what was the purpose of that situation or relationship, and really kind of come into, again, through self-reflection, a higher understanding of everything that's been going on in your life. Now, we want to also look at the 16th major arcana in the tarot, since July does vibe to the karmic number 16. And some of you have already guessed it because you know the tarot. That's the Tower card. So major arcana 16 is the Tower card. And the Tower card is, again, about big external changes. It's almost like the rug getting pulled out from under you. You've got certain energies or situations or circumstances in your life that you felt securely connected to or grounded in, that they were stable and secure for you. That could be like job, career. That could be like home and family. That could be relationships. You know, everything is just the way we, thought it was, as far as, again, being safe and secure within these energies. And this can also be feeling safe and secure within your own health and physical body as well. But the Tower card usually comes along to say that reality isn't like you thought, or there needs to be a big shift or change because you're not aligned with your truth. So we're going to kind of pull that rug out from under you. We're going to pick you up and set you down somewhere else so that you are aligned with your truth. So you are aligned on the right path, so that you're moving forward in accordance with your higher soul self, which is another connection with the number 7, is that higher soul self and listening to that inner wisdom. But you can see here with the Tower, we've got a lightning bolt coming down, and probably that lightning bolt, which can deal with sudden and unexpected circumstances, situations, or energies, kind of catches that Tower on fire. So now the Tower is on fire, and this is metaphoric, of course. The person here is either falling out or jumping out of the building. Maybe he's trying to jump to safety, and get away from, whatever this energy represents. Maybe he's falling, like he feels like, I have no control over what's happening. And the Tower card can definitely feel like that. It almost feels like fate comes in and deals us a hand that we weren't expecting. We are, with our free will, able to make free will choices, but the Tower card is almost like the universe comes in and says, nope, we gotta do something here to realign you. And so, again, this can bring some very sudden and unexpected, with that lightning bolt, changes. There can be quite the electrical energy, again, like shock, like a shocking thing. And it's also not just on a personal level. This could be something on a collective level as well. This could be something happening within your country. This could be something happening within the world, as far as really affecting humanity. So this is, also a collective energy, not just personal. Now, let's put that aside and let's go ahead and talk about the astrology of significance for the month of July. And there's a lot actually going on with planetary shifts and redirections and new planets and new signs and whatnot. But we start out on the 4th of July with Venus, planet of love and relationships, also resources and values. Venus does rule money and finances. Those are some of the resources she rules. She also rules our sense of self-worth, or how we value ourselves. She's moving out of Taurus and she's moving into Gemini. And she's going to be in Gemini, let me see if I can read my own notes, until the 30th of July. So by the end of this month, she's going to be ready to move on into the sign of Cancer. So not a really long time, almost a month, that she's going to be in this sign of Gemini. I think one of the things that's important to mention, though, is just before she moves into Gemini on the 4th of July, she's still in Taurus and connects with Uranus in the last degree of Taurus. So Venus in the last degree of Taurus, Uranus, the Great Awakener, ruling planet of sudden and unexpected energies, is also in Taurus. So there could be something sudden and unexpected that deals with our resources, like again, money and finances, or our time or our gifts, anything like that, that is a resource for us. Or this could also be about relationships. And then she moves on into the sign of Gemini until the end of the month. And in Gemini, she's going to be a little bit more lighthearted in relationship matters, maybe even a little bit more flirtatious. Some people might say even a little superficial. Definitely curious to see kind of what's out there. And that can be with finances and resources as well. Curious to kind of check out different paths, different options, different potentials. Communication is going to be a big part of this because Gemini is the sign of communication. So in relationships, we need to communicate. Whether it be an existing relationship or a new relationship, communication is key. Also in regards to money and finances, asking the questions or finding the solutions if there's some challenges regarding that area of life. Doing the research. Gemini likes to read and understand and gather details and gather information. So that's going to be really important. And then also on the 4th of July, Neptune, which rules the spiritual realm, is turning to retrograde motion. Now, Neptune rules really slowly. I guess I forgot to write down how long it was going to be retrograde, but we're looking probably somewhere between 4 to 6 months. So we're going to feel the shift of retrograde motion with Neptune most strongly on and around this day, maybe a couple days before, a couple days after, as it's making its shift. And because Neptune normally and naturally can deal with illusion, delusion, and confusion, it is often said that when Neptune turns retrograde, we take off the rose-colored glasses and we start to see with greater clarity certain situations and circumstances in our lives. Also, I'm going to say, because a retrograde planet internalizes the energy and Neptune rules the spiritual realm, there's more of a greater understanding that we are a part of that spiritual realm. We are a part of the cosmos. We are a part of that magic of the universe. So that's just a little quick introduction. We'll probably talk more about that in the weekly reading when it comes up. On the 7th of July, we have Uranus, the Great Awakener, the ruler of sudden and unexpected. Could be sudden and unexpected opportunities, could be sudden and unexpected situations and circumstances of a challenging nature. Uranus doesn't play favorites when it comes to the positive versus the challenging. So you just expect the unexpected with Uranus, and it's moving into the sign of Gemini. So this is important because Uranus spends about 7 years in a sign before it moves on to the next sign. So it's leaving Taurus after 7 years and it's moving into Gemini. Now, I think it makes one last little visit to Taurus a little bit later on, but basically we've got Uranus and Gemini for the next 7 years. And again, I think that takes us to May of 2033 is what I wrote down. And Gemini, again, rules the mental realm, thoughts, ideas, perceptions, perspectives, communication. And Uranus is this electrical, buzzing sort of energy. So expect things to get really kind of busy in the areas that deal with communication and technology, science. Uranus rules some of these future technological advances and things like that. And of course, again, Gemini is communication. So we think that we've got a lot going on with technology and communication on the World Wide Web now. I think that we're going to make a big leap and jump over the next 7 years, even more so. So that's just, again, a little tidbit, and we'll talk more about that in the weekly as well. And then on the 10th of July, we've got a full moon in Capricorn. Full moons are about releasing and letting go, surrendering, healing. It's closing out some sort of a cycle. It's some sort of completion. And the sign of Capricorn is about authority. It does rule government institutions and the patriarchal system, but also on a personal level, it rules our career, our life purpose, managerial sorts of energies within ourselves, kind of being responsible, being in that kind of responsible energy. On the 12th of July, we have Saturn turning retrograde. So now Saturn is the teacher of karmic lessons, and it rules restrictions and limitations, but it also rules structure and form and manifestation. So it's turning retrograde at 1 degree of Aries. And by the way, Neptune turned retrograde at 2 degrees of Aries, and so they're traveling very close together. But with Saturn being internalized as it turns retrograde, I feel like this is about restructuring our sense of self, because Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, deals with the individual. It deals with the self. So we're going to now be more attuned to what do I need to do to, restructure myself, and that can be restructuring yourself on an outer level or restructuring yourself on an inner level, like belief systems and patterns and things of that nature as well. That is going to be retrograde. I guess I just wrote down that, it's retrograde until November of 2027. I have that right, I think. No. Correction. November. Did I write down November 27th? That's what I wrote down. So it's not as long as the retrograde motion of Neptune. But as it retrogrades, it's going to retrograde back into Pisces, whereas Neptune will not, right? So it's going to go all the way back to 25 degrees of Pisces, and then on November 27th of this year, it'll turn back to direct motion. It has to travel back through those degrees of Pisces before it goes back into Aries for good. All right, we got it right. On the 17th of July, we have Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is the ruler of the mental realm, thoughts, ideas, perceptions, communications, logic, information. So we usually know, all of us, what Mercury retrograde brings, right? It's like reorganization, reevaluation, restructuring, it's all those RE words, reviewing things, making sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and really paying attention to what's going on. Sometimes there can be travel mishaps, technology mishaps, communication mishaps for sure. And Mercury retrogrades at 15 degrees of Leo, and it stays in Leo for the whole period of its retrograde motion. It retrogrades all the way back to 4 degrees of Leo before turning back to direct motion on August 11th. On the 22nd, we've got the sun moving out of Cancer and into Leo until August 22nd. And on the 24th, we have a new moon at 2 degrees of Leo. So both the sun and the moon are at that 2 degree of Leo point, kind of initiating some sort of new beginning in the area of Leo. So the new beginnings are with our confidence and our courage, like the lion, and it's about leadership and play and fun and creative self-expression. That is all Leo energy. On the 30th of July, we have Chiron, the wounded healer and shaman, turning to retrograde motion at 27 degrees of Aries. So it doesn't go back to direct motion until January 2nd, 2026. So Chiron ruling this inner soul wound that we carry. And each of us has Chiron in a different sign of the zodiac, even though right now it's in Aries, but you might want to look at your chart and see, what your Chiron is all about. But Chiron right now for the collective is about these wounds of the self. Again, it's Aries. It's like we have Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries, Chiron in Aries, and they're all going retrograde this month. So that's a big deal. There's a lot going on with our inner sense of individuality, self-sufficiency, confidence, courage, independence, all of these things that Aries rules. So we're going to be, dealing with some wounds that are coming up personally and especially collectively, because again, not all of you have Chiron in Aries in your chart, but we're all going to feel it nonetheless. And so, this is an interesting time period to have so many slower moving planets turning to retrograde motion. Also on the 30th of July, just to kind of close out the astrology part of the video, is Venus now moving out of Gemini and going into Cancer. And she'll be in Cancer until August 25th. So now, instead of being more intellectual and logical in relationships and money and finances, she's going to be more emotional and empathic in relationships and money and finances. and security, emotionally security oriented. I don't even know if that's a way to say it. She's going to be focused on security, but mostly in an emotional way. I'm having trouble speaking today, apparently. Okay, so that's a little bit about the astrology. Let's go ahead and take a look at, we already looked at the Tower card for the month. Let's look at the messages from our angels and guides for the month. So the first card that came out here was the Three of Orbs. And this was interesting to me when it fell out of the deck when I was shuffling, because the Tower card, which rules the whole month of July, has this lightning bolt. And here we have the Three of Orbs, which is like the Three of Swords with the lightning bolt. So again, it has this feeling of something sudden and unexpected, a sudden and unexpected challenge, or a sudden and unexpected situation or circumstance that comes just kind of out of the blue, like a lightning bolt, right? A quick flash of, here you go, here's what you're handed. Now the Three of Swords, it's about the mental realm. So it is about our thoughts and ideas. And normally in the traditional tarot, the Three of Swords is usually about some sort of emotional challenge, an emotional challenge, even though this rules the mental realm. So I'm going to say mental and emotional challenge, because the card itself in the traditional tarot has three swords to someone's heart chakra, as if they're in pain and something happened to hurt them, and they're kind of in despair. So there's a little bit of that energy that's possibly going on, even though this card does not represent that as far as the image on this card. But we do have some, shadowy kind of dark dusk, kind of energy, again, with this flash of lightning. We do have clear sky right here in the corner. So we've got this cloudy, dark sky, cloudy, dark landscape, the lightning bolt like a thunderstorm. But if we look for it, there's clarity that's being shown. And maybe that's what the lightning bolt is about. Maybe that's the Neptune turning to retrograde motion. Take off the rose-colored glasses, and now all of a sudden you see something with clarity that you didn't see before because you were wearing those rose-colored glasses. And so look for the clarity with this, even though it appears that there's some sort of a challenge to the mental or emotional body, where again, we might feel wounded. The number 3 in numerology is about expansion. So that pain or that imbalance or whatever it's causing might be exaggerated a little bit, expanded a little bit. And as long as we do what we can to stay grounded in the present moment, which isn't shown in this card, but I'm just suggesting that you do that this month with everything that's happening with all these planetary energies, to find your grounding, to find your center, and then look for that clear sky, look for that solution, look for that clarity that the universe is trying to show you amongst the storm clouds of whatever it is that's happening. Okay, it might have something to do, again, as I said, with emotions, because here's the water ruling the emotions, even though the orbs is about the mental realm. So let's look at the next card here. The next card is the Eight of Chalices. This is like the Eight of Cups. And the image on this card is similar to what you might see in a traditional Eight of Cups card, somebody turning their back on the cups and walking away. And so again, the cups represents the emotional landscape of what we're living in and going through. It's the emotional body, it's our feelings. And so it looks as though, again, we're walking away from something, someone, a circumstance that we've felt emotionally connected to, but something has occurred. Most likely it's the lightning bolt, sudden, unexpected thing that has come in here with the Three of Swords, Three of Orbs. And now we're feeling like we need to just walk away to kind of, it's like self-preservation. It's like, we need to move on. This person's moving on almost like to new horizons, although this looks like a desert, right? So right now you might be in shock. You might feel emotionally numb. You might not be sure what to feel, you're disconnected maybe. You can see some of these cups are a little bit lighter in color and they get darker as we go across. And so, it looks like there's a succession or something happening in an increment, you know. So maybe it's, again, maybe it's job, career, maybe it's relationship, maybe there's a family situation where it seems like there's something incremental going on that's really brought you to a place where you're either to the point or getting to the point, because again, there's about, you know, 2 or 3 more cups left here that are still kind of highlighted in white, but you're getting close, if not already there, of feeling like I have to walk away from this. This is not emotionally healthy for me. This is not supporting my evolution and growth. This is a circumstance or situation that's causing me grief and sadness, and that's not the place that I want to be. So I need to look for something better. There is something better over that horizon here, that there's something better over the hill, so to speak. You know, if I can get over that hill, that mound of sand of being in the emotional desert, there's going to be something. Maybe there's a spring, maybe there's a river or lake that I can't see right now. You know, there is blue sky, so that's promising. So we're looking at the blue sky ahead, and they're traveling here. They've got like a walking stick with them. They're traveling to the next destination. The next destination is the next step of your life, the next part of your life, the next situation in your life. But this person clearly looks like they are ready and have already begun the process of releasing themselves from whatever emotional disempowerment, because the number 8 is about power. It can be about power and control. It can be about empowerment, but it can also be disempowerment. So no longer do we want to be in this emotional disempowerment. We're ready to kind of move on. All right, so the last card came out as 2 cards. And the first of those last 2 cards was the 10 of Flames. This is like the 10 of Wands. Now, the 10 of Wands, you can see it's, again, kind of a dark, shady kind of card. There is the person is holding 1 wand that's lit up. They've got the other 9 wands in a pack on their back that they're trying to carry up a dark staircase. But there's also a light kind of at the end of the tunnel. Now, a lot of times with the 10 of Wands, we feel like we're carrying a heavy burden. We can barely carry that heavy burden anymore. We feel tired, we feel fatigued, and that can be physically, and it can be emotionally and mentally, and maybe even spiritually fatigued. So we're feeling like I can barely do this any longer. But the good thing is that it's the last of the minor arcana. This means that we're to the end or completion of some sort of spiritual journey, because Wands and Flames rules the spiritual realm. So whatever the heavy burden is, whatever's been causing you frustration or depression or just that heaviness feeling, you're getting to the completion part of it. Okay, you're walking up the stairs, just those last few steps. If you can get up those last few steps and round the corner here, you're going to be in the light. And you're lighting your own way too. So pat yourself on the back. Right? Give yourself some kudos, because you are lighting your own way forward. Even though the journey's been tough and rough and challenging and heavy, you're almost there. You're no longer kind of in the basement level here. You're walking up into the higher levels, the higher realms, and the light of spirit is beckoning you forward. So don't give up hope yet, because you're almost to the end of whatever the spiritual lesson is all about. And the card that came out with it is the Hermit card. So this is Major Arcana 9. In this deck, it's called Reflection. So remember when I talked about all these planets turning retrograde? And when a planet turns retrograde, it internalizes the energy. So this is feeling more like a month of self-reflection and going within and seeking your own light and seeking your own answers and hearing your own inner wisdom. It's through the meditation and silence and self-reflection that we can do all of that. And so, you know, we do have, you know, challenging cards here. The 3 of Swords, the 8 of Cups, the 10 of Flames, which again, we're nearing the end or completing something. And we just need to reflect. We need to be silent. We need to go within. Spend more time alone this month if you can. Doesn't mean you can't be social and have some fun, but make sure that you're carving out some time for self-care and meditation and journaling and, you know, listening to, again, your inner guide for messages, for guidance. That's what the Hermit is all about, is seeking his own way forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at the special message card depending on your stone of choice. So let's give this a little shuffle here. Take a deep breath with me. And the first stone of choice was the rubellite. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at special message for the month of July for rubellite people. Special message for rubellite people. This one's calling my attention when I open my eyes. Okay, we've got the broken arrow. And the broken arrow says at the bottom, embrace the energy of peace. So the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw that it was the broken arrow was that you might feel like something in your life is broken, metaphorically speaking, like something isn't working anymore. It could be, something regarding career and job. It could be something regarding home and family. It could be something regarding relationship. It could be something regarding your own efforts to move forward on your life purpose and path, or a host of other things. But it might feel like something's been like interrupted or stagnant or suddenly redirected, and that was unexpected to you, and that what you had previously thought was going to be a good and stable and long-term thing perhaps for you within yourself or outside of yourself, again, it might feel like it's broken right now. But if you embrace the energy of peace, like this says, just embrace peace, be peace. And that's really the Hermit too. The Hermit is in a place of peace, knowing, and trusting. Oftentimes the Hermit is about trust and faith. So trust and have faith that you're being led on the path. Trust and have faith that your higher self is leading you on the path, leading you to the answers you seek. And here, if we just be that peace, right? We might want peace. Maybe something's happened and we don't feel at peace, but be the peace, like be the essence of peace and call that into yourself. Stay grounded, stay secure. Trust and have faith that even though something has happened that has disrupted the balance in your life, that there's a reason for it, that there's something new that's coming in, something new available to you that's going to be showing itself when divine timing is appropriate for you. So you can see that there's two arrows here, right? It's almost like the arrows can represent wands in the tarot, and we've got two of them. And they're perfectly balanced with each other. And the number 2 is about balance. So we want to stay in a place of balance and peace. And the Two of Wands, in the image of the traditional Two of Wands, or at least in the one in my head that I'm remembering, there's a woman that's looking out a window. She's looking out a window as if she's imagining or visualizing what's next. So perhaps you're in this space again of needing to be in a place of peace, to imagine and visualize what could be next. Stay balanced. Stay in a place of trust. Know that the universe is leading you in the right direction. The points of the arrows are leading you in the right direction. And this also has a kind of a feel of Native American, right? So I want to say call in your Native American or shamanic guides to lead you to the next step. Okay, we're going to put that back in the deck in case somebody else gets it. And the next stone is the Septarian. Special message for Septarian people for the month of July. Septarian people. This one's calling my attention right here. Oh, I thought it was the same one because it looks the same, but it's the drum. Wow, there's a lot of, and not all of these cards are about Native American. I mean, no, I'm looking kind of at them. There's angels on them. There's, other things going on. But this is the drum. So we've got like another Native American sort of energy here. Isn't that interesting? And they're telling me that aside from the personal messages for you, because these are personal messages for you, but aside from that, I feel like there's something very, very ancient, like a repetitive theme that goes back to Native American times. And not just Native Americans in one particular country, but let's say indigenous tribes, right? That's maybe better, because we think of Native Americans in America. But I want to say indigenous tribal people, and something very ancient, something that was told to them as far as prophecies are concerned. So I'm going to have to explore that a little bit later, and maybe you can too. But on a personal level, this says dream and journey. So we think of the drum, right? The indigenous drum, the Native American drum, and it's that heartbeat of the earth kind of sound, right? If we are very, what do I want to say? Just slow and a continuous kind of equal beating of the drum, right? It's very shamanic. It puts us into this journey state, into this dream state, into this discovery or exploration state where we can go within our own mind. So again, this idea of reflection, self-reflection, we can go in and discover the dream. And I don't mean the dream on an external level of what you dream for, but I feel like it's more about the dream of the higher self, the goal, in other words, of the higher self, which is more about healing on your journey in this lifetime. So we're here discovering the dream as we're on a journey within ourselves, like the hermit, to discover our inner truth. And they're saying also to discover our inner sanctuary. Again, the peace and the silence within ourselves, so we can clearly hear the messages from our higher self, the messages from our angels and guides. So our intuition becomes stronger when we're in that journey state. And there's something about the heartbeat of the earth too. Like I feel like some of you maybe have been or are being called to bring healing to Earth Mother Gaia. And that could be, again, in a variety of ways that you do that. Maybe you want to plant crystals in a sacred place. Maybe you want to go out and do a drumming ceremony in your backyard or on your property to kind of bring healing to the land, healing to the earth. So I feel like that's a message for some of you as well. Both this card and the broken arrow card had that circle, right? Kind of like the alpha and the omega, the never-ending circle of spirit, the never-ending circle of life. You know, no matter if we're incarnated in a physical body or we're in the other realms, on the spiritual realms at some point, like some of our loved ones might be, life never ends. The journey never ends. Like we're always, you know, our soul is infinite and eternal. And I guess I feel like that from the circle on both this card and the broken arrow. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the message for Amazonite people. Special message for the month of July for Amazonite. July, Amazonite people. Message. This one. Aha. Something that's not a circle, something that's not Native American connected. And it's the Water Guardian. And it's interesting because our planetary energies for the month of July are sitting mostly in almost like every other element, fire and air mostly. We got a lot of fire and air. So maybe we need to balance it out with the Water Guardian. And the Water Guardian says connect with your emotions. So we're needing to kind of bring that aspect of the emotional body in for healing, for our intuition, for greater empathy. And I'm hearing, as I say empathy, that again, the energies on a collective level may continue to magnify with some situations and circumstances that are challenging around the globe. And a lot of us, there's a dual message, a lot of us are very empathic, and with our heightened emotional senses like empathy, we're feeling a lot of that energy and it's affecting us. So do what you can to kind of cleanse and wash that away. But also having empathy, having compassion, which is all water element related. Have that love and compassion, forgiveness, understanding, and empathy for humanity. Because a lot of times we might look out at what's happening and judge humanity or judge people or judge certain groups. And that's not going to get us anywhere as a collective. It's just going to perpetuate the wound. So we need to send love and light and healing. We need to open our heart chakras and again connect with that empathetic part of us, and that again, that unconditional love, compassion for all, for humanity. She's got a jewel over her third eye, so also your psychic senses are going to heighten. And they're saying even though Uranus is going into air sign Gemini, that Uranus going into Gemini is going to heighten our psychic senses. I feel like it's mostly claircognizance or clear knowing, but it can be all of the psychic senses. So, some of us are stronger in certain psychic senses than others. And so whatever you're, already strong in may be heightened, and those that you feel not so strong in may be activated. So all your psychic senses. Okay. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this monthly reading. Please check out my new website. It is up and ready to go. It's ColleenLemma.com. Got a fresh new look. It's laid out differently. It still has most all of my services, and it's got classes and workshops and everything on there. The shop page with the special intention crystals are on there. New things will be coming in the future on the shop page, but take a look at it, see what you think. You can send me a little email or even give me a comment on this video and let me know what you think. I thank you all so much for your love and support. I've been doing this on this YouTube channel for over 20 years. I don't even know really how long it's been, but I know it's been over 20 years, I think. If it wasn't for you all continuing to support me and send comments and love and whatnot, I might not still be doing it, right? It might have gone in another direction, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and I send you all lots of love and light and many, many blessings. Namaste.